Hi everybody, welcome back to Rosemaling with Art of Lise. It's good to see you all. For many of you who have not seen me before, this is a channel dedicated to the love and demonstration of the art of Rosemaling, a Norwegian folk art that goes back many hundreds of years. I don't go back hundreds of years. Some days I feel that way though. Anyway, today what I'm going to do is actually talk about teardrops and some line work and the brush I like to use. So it's a short video, relatively, but let's go down to the table and we'll talk. All right, here we go. All right, so first of all, I've got a sketch pad here that I'm going to use. And the first thing I'm going to do is just mix up some paint. Detail paint, majority of the time, well, a lot of the time, you're going to use black. Now, I'm working in acrylics. I'm working with JoSonja brand Chroma Carbon Black. And I'm going to put a small amount on here. And just for a comparison, just so you can see the size. Of course, when I want to find something right away, can I? Okay, so here's a water bottle cap. So you can kind of see the comparison here. So you don't need a lot of paint. All right, I'm going to add a medium to this. Now, a medium is what helps to make your paint flow better. I like to use a combination of 3 different mediums. They are the JoSonja brand Flow Medium, Retarder Medium, and where is it? Clear Glaze Medium here. There we go. These are the 3 I like to use in combination with each other. Flow medium kind of moves your paint and will dilute the pigment a little bit. The glaze medium, it helps with the transparent stroking of that. And of course, retarder does slow down the drying time because remember, with working with acrylics, acrylics do dry quickly. So we want to extend the time. The process that I'm using with my detail paint is the same you will use with oils. Oils, you'll use your base paint and then you use a medium to add to it. For example, boiled linseed oil. All right, so what I'm going to do is pour this on here, and just to continue my medium talk here, I have a 2-ounce bottle here. I added 1/3 of the glaze medium, 1/3 of the flow, and 1/3 of the retarder. So it's a 1:1:1 ratio. I mark off my bottle into thirds and add appropriately and then shake this up. So that's where I get that from. All right, so I have added some medium to my paint here. I'm going to go ahead and mix this together because your detail paint, which is kind of your finishing paint, what you want to add on top of a piece, I'll just give an example here. I just shared a picture of this on my Facebook page. But your detail paint is your line work and your dots and your different stuff, and you want it to flow on top of your paint. So obviously that one was done with whites. It's actually a warm white. So I want to add my medium as so, and I want to really kind of mix it in here. It's almost like you have wet ice cream or melted ice cream. Like as a kid, you know how you'd play and stir it up? Yes, that's what this is, okay? So I have this ready. Now make sure that you wipe off your palette knife afterwards so it doesn't go everywhere. I do keep a stack of cut up paper towels. I use either the blue shop towels or the Viva towels, which have little or no lint to them. Go ahead and wipe this off. Put that aside. I'm not always so good about wiping it off, but I'll remember. And I typically keep a piece of paper towel nearby. Now, many of you have watched videos of mine before, and if you haven't, well, welcome. And you know, if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. That would always be great. So I like to use a very fine liner, a very, very short and very little hair on this. You can see this here, okay? I use this liner for pretty much everything. Now, different artists are going to like different liner brushes. You have some that like something a little longer with a little bit more hair on there. You have some people that like to use very, very short ones for doing teardrops and such. So each artist is going to have a different tool that they really like. The joy of taking classes with different people or watching different people is to help improve your toolbox and give you more things to work with. All right, so I just have a simple sketchbook here. I like to use sketchbooks a lot of times when practicing or demonstrating because I can look back at them. But I'm going to go ahead and first load up my brush. Now I twist the brush through and pull it out. So this way I get these nice lines. And notice how much paint I made. I could have put a lot less paint on there. And this will still go a long way. All right, so let me pull that through again. Whoop. Just getting the gauge of where my camera's sitting here. All right, there we go. So this brush here, I can do pretty much any detailing. Now, I'm holding my brush up around where the numbers are on the handle, and I'm holding them between my 3 fingers. I don't hold the brush all the way down here because I don't get much movement like that. I hold the brush further back so I have much more control and much more flexibility with movement. If I am going to do line work, I typically will use my arm as a brace to help me. So I can hold my brush almost directly straight up and down. And we can go ahead and come down like an airplane, nice and thin. And then the more pressure I add to the brush, the thicker the stroke, okay? But I can get these very nice thin lines here. Let's make sure that I am in screen because that's always a lovely thing. I'm gonna try that again. So, ready? Here we go. So here's my brush, nice and thin. Oh, I have a little drop at the end that will end up plopping. Watch when I do this, and it leaves a drop like that. When you have a little drop at the end there, it's what helps to just wipe the tip very lightly on a piece of paper towel. And then you can go ahead and go thin, thick, and then thin again. Now remember, I'm working on just paper here, so this is very porous, so it will eat this paint up. But what I really wanted to show today with this brush that I can do all this wonderful fine detailing with is how I do some of my teardrops. Because this little brush here, I can get some very large sideways teardrops with. For example, right there, right? Or like this. Now, but how did I do that? I slide my brush. Slide your brush, you say. Well, what does that mean? Well, let me show you. So teardrops are about the only time you're going to have your hand down as close to the paper, and you're going to hold your brush at about a 45-degree angle to your paper or your piece or whatever you're working on. So sliding my brush. So I'm going to take and do a teardrop without sliding. So I'm going to take it thin and then push down thick, just add the pressure and lift straight up. Let me bring that a little closer here. So let me show that again. A little teardrop. Light pressure on the brush, heavier pressure on the brush to make the bristles go down, and then slowly take it up and lift and you have a teardrop. Well, I like to do some bigger teardrops with sliding my bristles. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to go light on my brush, and then as I push it down heavier, I'm going to slide the bristles to the left. I almost make a club shape there. When I do this, then these teardrops can become a leaf by pulling a thin line out of it. So sliding again. Come down on your brush, lay it down flat, and then I'm pushing it sideways. I'm sliding those bristles over. But then I pull my bristles back inside of that teardrop so I don't get a flippy. A flippy, you say? What's a flippy? A flippy is when you do these quick and you're like, oh good, I'm at the end, and then you pull this thing out. Well, we don't want a little flippy like that. We want to go a little slower. So let's try that again. Let's do a longer one. Thin, thick, and then slide those bristles to the side. Wrap the bristles around and let them finish inside of the teardrop. Well, if I do in one direction, I can do in the other. So a regular teardrop, thin, thick, just adding pressure to the brush, slow down, lift your brush up and let your bristles pull straight up, and I have a nice little teardrop there. I can do a straight one too, though those I have to add a little bit too. These are really better for the side, so ignore that one right now. Ugh, I didn't like that one. Blah. All right, anyway, let's do the side again. Start on the tip, add pressure, push those bristles down, slow down and lift up. Okay, nice basic teardrop there. Well, let's do a slide teardrop. I'm going to take my bristles. I'm trying not to choke. I'm going to go nice and thin, lay those bristles down, and then I'm going to slide them to the right and wrap that bristles right back inside of it. And do that again. Slide to the right and pull around. These are great for doing Hallingdal teardrops or leaves with them. Hallingdal leaves they're very solid, they're very big, so I can do this nice big teardrop here, right? And then off the back of it, I can go ahead and do an S stroke, a thin, thick, thin, add another little bump there, and look, you have a nice big leaf. Let me do that again. Nice and thin, slide those bristles off to the side, and go ahead and pull an S stroke out, and you have a leaf. Sometimes you'll have this nice line that comes around it, and then you'll have a teardrop over here too. Slide and pull it out, slide and pull it out. It's really just a fun little teardrop demonstration here I'm doing. Notice less pressure I put, the smaller I get, and then I can go off into dots. Very simple with that. Okay, so let's say I do the same idea. Let's try another little detail here. Let's do a detail line, nice and long. Let it finish. When I get to the end, I slow down, let my bristles catch up. Lift that bristle straight up again. And I'm going to give this some little leaves at the bottom, teardrop leaves. So I'm going to go do a slide to my left, and then put a little detail line underneath, and you've made a leaf. I'm going to slide to my right, pull it around, detail leaf. Add a little more paint to this. Let's do some smaller ones. Slide to my left, slide to my right, and add these little lines down there. We can do it again. A little smaller, less pressure. And work up, and then we can finish on this side. Do little teardrops. Just coming right up, down to lines or dots. So this little brush that I have here, I can do so much with. And again, this is about pressure. The less pressure you have on the bristles, the finer the touch. The heavier pressure you have on the bristles, the heavier the line, or the heavier your teardrop as you slide it to the left. And I go ahead and give this a detail line. Oh, let me add a little more paint on that. I'm going to go behind that teardrop there. Give it an S stroke. Oh, let's give it another little bump. Another little bump. Oh, look at that nice detail leaf that we just created. Don't be afraid to just play. Pull out one color of paint, pull out a few different liners. You don't have to have this nice thin liner, small liner that I like to use. Play with different liners and see what you can make it do. Notice I'm not twisting, I'm just rotating my brush and letting it move. Let me do one more teardrop. And I want to say thank you for you all joining me today. I hope this was fun, a little informative, give some inspiration to go ahead and experiment with a brush and some color and, well, maybe it's just black. But experiment with your brush and see what you can create. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure seeing you all. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.